Hello everybody, it's Verda here, hope you're all doing well, and today we're benchmarking XDefiant with the GTX 1060 3GB edition of the graphics card. I'm pairing it up with the Intel Core i7-4790K with 16GB of DDR3 1600MHz RAM. I've got the latest NVIDIA drivers installed, so with that, let's jump on in and see how it performs here with such an old/budget PC, I guess. So to begin with here, we're going to be playing at 1080p. I have gone ahead and manually adjusted all the settings to the lowest and restarted the game. It says the graphics are on custom because for some reason the presets, they turn VSync on, and it doesn't actually turn VSync off unless you turn it off before restarting the game. It will actually keep the VSync on, so I have to turn that off as well. So yeah, just do know that we are playing on the lowest settings in the game, even though it says custom. So I'll show you the rest of them. 100% resolution scale as well, of course, because it does lower that down manually as well. And it does this weird thing in the menu where it quickly zooms down near the bottom. I don't know, must just be a bug with the menu currently, but yeah, everything is on the lowest settings. Let's jump on in and see how it runs here. So I've been playing here for a couple of minutes, and as you can see, we are at a CPU limitation here with this PC. With the CPU being 10 years old, it does look like you're going to need a more powerful CPU, even to push such a budget end GPU, such as the 1060. But one thing that I am finding interesting here in this game is the fact that we're not using more than 3 gigs of VRAM. It's not allocating more than 3 gigs, and it's using less than 2 gigs of VRAM right now to play this game, which is pretty remarkable for a 2024 FPS game. And in terms of actual RAM usage itself, we're less than 9 gigs here. So yeah, you just need a bit more of a powerful CPU to push this GPU all the time, which, you know, if you've got a more modern budget end CPU, it's probably going to be more powerful than this CPU that I've got here. But it's still getting around 80 to 90 FPS, which is pretty respectable for a 10-year-old CPU here in 2024, right? Like it's pretty nuts. And there are occasions, like there are moments where, oh man, my aim, 60 Hz is pretty hard. But there is moments where we are actually fully GPU bound. It's just not all the time, which is what you would want to see, obviously. Oh my god, I just got absolutely mowed down. But, you know, if you play at 60 Hz, you can still have some fun here. There's still fun to be had. Or even 75 Hz. Or perhaps even potentially 120 Hz. You could get away with playing like this. I was hoping for a little bit more performance out of this CPU, in all honesty. Like, I was hoping we'd be able to max out the GPU at least, right? But no, it is going to be a CPU bottleneck here. It's quite refreshing to see a game actually release that doesn't need such a monster PC to play, right? Or especially such a monster GPU. Like, it's actually the fact that we're playing with an FPS game in 2024 that released in, you know, 2024 that uses less than 3 gigs of VRAM is absolutely nuts. Yes, we're playing at lowest settings, but in my opinion, the game still looks really good here at low settings. Like, it's not a bad game in terms of graphics, even on low, right? There we go. And I am able to play here somewhat decently. And as you can see, when the GPU is actually like fully maxed out, we're getting like 100 to 106 FPS. So it looks like if your GPU is able to completely be fully utilized, you're going to see around 100 to 110 FPS at low 1080p. This game is a lot of fun, honestly, guys. Give it a download, give it a play if you haven't already. You clearly don't need a very good computer to play it either, which, you know, I'm sure they're not doing it for us. They're doing it so that we can actually, you know, so they can get more players playing the game. But it's just, if a game can look this good and have, you know, this kind of performance, then why are we not getting more games like this? You know what I mean? That have got good performance. Ow. I'm really struggling here though at 60 Hz, guys. It's not easy for me. At 60 Hz, it's pretty hard for me to play here like this. I'm sure if I was playing on my 144 Hz monitor, I'd be having a much better time here. Oh. There we go. Victory. Nice. Let's go ahead and go back to the main menu, apply medium settings or something, and see if we can actually get to a GPU bottleneck here. Alright, now we're back in the main menu. I have set the game to 1440p. We're going to be trying out lowest settings here at 1440p. It does say custom, because obviously the VSync issue. But yeah, I don't know why it speeds past the end of the settings. For some reason, it just goes really fast near the end when you actually click and hold it to pull it down. But yeah, we're playing at lowest settings. Let's jump into another game and see how it runs here at 1440p. So I've been playing for a couple of minutes here in the game to allow my average FPS to get to the averages and also to see the stability of the game basically playing here. And as you can see, my average FPS is around 70 right now at these settings, which is not bad by any means, to be completely honest, considering we're playing at 1440p on a brand new FPS game, right, in 2024. Oh, that grenade's gonna kill me before I get out of there. Alright, let me try and get on the zone. Oh my god, I'm dead. But yeah, it looks like the VRAM usage is still going to be completely fine here at 1440p lowest. If you are somebody who plays at 60 Hz to 60 to 75 Hz, right, then this might be okay for you. But, you know, for myself, I would like to have much more than this, right, in terms of FPS. I'd like to have a lot more. In terms of the frame times itself, it's pretty smooth. 1% lows are at mid-40s, which is not ideal, but yeah, for the most part, I'm not really feeling it too much here. I can't aim because it's 60 Hz. It's really hard in an FPS game like this, or in a quicker pace FPS game, when you're not used to playing at 60 Hz anymore. Getting a bunch of grenades getting thrown up here. But yeah, that's going to do it for 1440p lowest settings. It is completely playable, guys, for somebody who plays at 60 to 70 FPS, which is, or 60 to 70 Hz, right? Which is kind of insane considering we're on a GTX 1060 3GB edition graphics card. But yeah, let's go ahead and load up the next preset and see how that performs here. I actually got a kill there. How about that one? Okay, so I've restarted the game. We are now going to be testing out 1080p medium settings. So it says custom still because, like I said before, it turns VSync on. So I have to turn that off before I restart the game because it doesn't actually turn VSync off if you turn it off after restarting it, if that makes any sense. I'll have an FPS cap of 60 if I turn VSync off now rather than before I restart the game. But yeah, anyways, hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Medium settings, let's see how it runs here in the game. Should still be pretty good, and I think we will be GPU bound now, probably, I would have to imagine, right? So let's jump back in. Alright, so I've been playing here for quite a few minutes now just to let the averages and stuff, you know, settle to the average FPS and so on. And as you can see here at medium 1080p, we are fully utilizing the GPU pretty much all of the time here. I've been keeping my eye on it, and I am pretty much fully utilizing the GPU. As for VRAM usage, the 3 gigs is still totally fine here, as you can see. We're only using 1.7 right now, so this map must be less intensive than the previous map. And for actual RAM usage as well, we're using less RAM too, so this map must just be clearly less intensive than the previous map that we played on. But yeah, we're completely GPU bound here, even with this CPU, which in low settings at 1080p was causing obviously a CPU bottleneck limitation. Oh my god. I'm really struggling though to play at 60 Hz, guys. It's really hard. Our average FPS here during this entire playtime has been about 95, which is more than playable for many people, I'm sure. And for 1% lows, we are just underneath 60, but I'm not feeling that, in all honesty. It mustn't be very much, or it mustn't be very often that we're actually dropping below 60 FPS, because I have not felt it. I cannot feel it, guys, so yeah. I think that's going to be enough for 1080p medium. It's completely fine here, 90 to 100 FPS. Let's try out the next ones. Alright, now we're going to try out medium 1440p here. As you can see, everything is on medium settings. It says custom because I've had to turn VSync off, of course, here. So yeah, with that, let's jump on in and see how this runs here. So I've been playing here at medium 1440p for a couple of minutes, and I can safely say that it's not worth playing medium 1440p. As you can see, my FPS keeps dipping into the mid 40s, and even my averages are just above 50, which is obviously not very good for an FPS game. I wouldn't play at medium 1440p with this card. Obviously, I don't think there's many people playing 1440p. It is doable on low settings or the lowest settings, but not at medium. I wouldn't recommend it at all, guys. Yeah, VRAM usage is still totally fine here, but in terms of how the game is actually playing, like FPS wise, it's not good, right? So yeah, that's gonna do for 1440p medium. Basically it's not going to be playable here. So we're going to stop testing 1440p from now on, because obviously we found the limit for 1440p, at least for 60 FPS, which even 60 FPS I wouldn't say is great for a competitive shooter. You want to get like above 100 at least, if not 120 to 140 FPS, right? Oh my god. Okay, let's go to the next settings. Alrighty, so we're back in the main menu, restarted the game. We're now at 1080p. I am using the high preset, says custom, because I've had to obviously turn VSync off before restarting again. But we're using all of the high settings, and it's still doing that really weird thing where it zooms really fast down at the bottom. But yeah, these are high settings. Let's jump on in, see how it performs here. I think this might be the absolute limit that we can push this GPU to with the 1060. It might possibly be the most that we can actually get. I don't know if we'll be able to use Ultra, but we'll see. So I've been playing here for a couple of minutes at 1080p high settings, so that my average FPS can actually get to the averages essentially. And as you can see here, my average FPS is just below 70 with the GTX 1060. And I'm actually struggling quite hard here to play at this FPS. It's really jarring on my eyes, to be honest, to play at 60 Hertz. But my 1% lows are also at about 45 FPS again. So it seems like my 1% lows are pretty consistent in all honesty. Because a couple of times while I've been benchmarking a few different presets, my 1% lows have been at about 45. So it seems like that's fairly consistent. And in terms of actual FPS, you know, if you are somebody who plays at 60 Hertz, 75 Hertz, this is probably okay for you to play at high, but there's really no reason to. You might as well play at the lowest settings, right, and get as much FPS as possible. But yeah, my VRAM usage as well. I did actually go ahead and check for the VRAM, and it's not sharing any regular RAM or utilizing any regular RAM as VRAM. So 3 gigs is still enough for you at high 1080p to play this game completely fine with 3 gigs of VRAM, which is pretty insane. So with that, I think that's going to do it here for 1080p high settings. It's playable for somebody who plays at 60 to 75 Hertz, but like I keep saying, in a competitive game like this, you might as well just play at low settings. So yeah, we are completely GPU bound pretty much nearly all the time here, if not all the time, right? So yeah, it's completely fine. In all honesty, guys, we'll try Ultra just for the sake of it, but realistically, I wouldn't go any higher than medium or high settings personally. So yeah, we'll try Ultra now. So let's jump on back to the main menu, restart the game, throw Ultra settings on. All right, and here we are for the final test, more than likely, which is going to be 1080p at the Ultra preset. It says custom because I've had to turn VSync off, and interestingly enough, the Ultra preset in this game doesn't actually set everything to maximum. As you can see as I'm scrolling down here, some of the settings are not at maximum, and it does that really weird speeding thing that it's been doing. But as you can see, like global reflections are on medium and stuff like that, so it doesn't actually make everything completely maxed out. But that's the Ultra preset anyways, so let's jump on in and see what it performs like here. I would be very surprised if it gets 60 FPS on average while playing at Ultra, but we'll have to see. And yeah, just as I suspected here, 1080p Ultra preset, it's not really playable here. As you can see, we're underneath 60 FPS, and my averages are like literally underneath 50 when I'm actually in combat. Well, if I don't just instantly die, you can see how much my FPS drops. Like I was at under 40 FPS there, and I'm pretty sure I did see my GPU utilization drop down a little bit, but regardless, even when it was fully utilized, I was at like 40 something FPS. So yeah, you're not going to be playing Ultra settings at 1080p, that's for sure. So yeah, I don't think I need to really talk about too much else for this, because you know the FPS just isn't that good. I will quickly say that the VRAM usage, oh my god, my aim, the VRAM usage is still fine at 3 gigs. Like it's still running completely fine. It's not the VRAM that's the issue, it's just the graphics card itself is just not powerful enough to push decent frame rate here at 1080p Ultra settings, which I wasn't expecting it to be able to do that. The fact that it can play at over 100 FPS on lowest settings 1080p, you know, in a 2024 FPS game that looks this good, is pretty surprising to me. Like the game is pretty well optimized in my opinion. I've saw some people complaining about the optimization of this game, but I think it's actually fairly good for a modern FPS game, or at least a modern FPS game that plays similar to like Call of Duty, right? Like in terms of movement and stuff like that. Oh my god. Yeah, I cannot aim at this FPS, guys. It's just not possible. But anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you found some use out of this video. If you did, go ahead and leave me a like. It really does help the channel. Leave me some feedback in the description. Leave me some feedback in the comments if you've got any questions or anything, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, take care of yourselves and goodbye for now.